Stop complaining. That's the message of the day. Stop complaining. I keep it a band with y'all. Guy got on my head yesterday. And when I was talking about he got on my head, it was a very humbling experience. And not even just yesterday being a humbling experience, but just overall, this whole entire season has been a humbling experience. It's come with a lot of ups and downs. It's come with a lot of losses. It's come with a lot of gains. But I started to realize that even through the losses, God allowed for those losses to happen. He allowed for those trials to happen just so that he can be able to expose the contents and the essence of my heart. Majority of the time when God gives us instructions and he tells us what to do, things start not to work out in the favor in which we thought it was going to work out. Then we begin to have doubts, and then we begin to feel like we didn't hear God's voice, or we didn't hear his instructions, not knowing that you did in fact hear God's voice, and you did in fact hear everything that he told you to do in that moment. What if I was to tell you that God allowed for that to happen? God instructed you actually to do that exact thing that he knew was possibly going to fail, or that he knew was possibly not going to work out in your favor, just so that there could be a lesson to be learned, or just so that it can develop your character and shape you and mold you into the person that you are, that he is allowing for you to come out as into these next new couple seasons that you're about to enter into. As I was going through the frustrations, as I was going through all the hardships, I'm not gonna lie, there was times where I did actually complain to the Lord, like, Lord, why is this happening to me? You told me to do this, and all for it just not to work out. And I was just, I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed off. I literally had opened up my Bible yesterday, and it landed on Psalm 95. This is Psalm 95 verses 8 through 11. And it says, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion, as in the day of trial in the wilderness, when your fathers tested me. They tested my patience, or they tried me, though they saw my work. For 40 years I was grieved with that generation, and said, it is a people who go astray in their hearts, and they do not know my ways. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. God was showing me, do not be like your ancestors. Do not be like your ancestors who wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, who did nothing but endlessly complain and endlessly become frustrated, and they didn't trust in my provision. They didn't follow my ways, all because they had unbelief in their hearts. And little do we know, when many of us complain about things not working out, when many of us complain about the things that are occurring in our lives that God in fact had set up and he had planned for to happen, we're showing God we don't trust him. We're showing God that we don't have faith in whatever he told us that he was about to do, and whatever that he said was about to come to pass. And the reason why God, I also say this as well, the reason why God won't allow certain things to happen, or he will like tell you to do certain things knowing that it won't work out, is because he also wants to show you the idols that are set in your heart. He also wants to show you that this is how you react, or this is what's in your heart when things don't go your way. Had to allow that thing not to work out. I had to have you go through that, because I want you to embrace on walking the journey, going through the journey, instead of longing and idolizing to get to the destination. Because yes, getting to the destination is the plan, but it is through the small things. It is through the journey. It is through the people you're going to encounter. It is through the people I'm setting you up to meet, to pray for, or to speak life into, in which is the most important part of the journey in itself. Because when you're just thinking about just getting to the destination, that's it, that's all, you're no longer thinking about everybody else connected to you, but you're thinking about yourself. What God was showing me was that I was trying to compare other people's miracles and other people's blessings to my own. I thought that if I look at these certain amount of videos, and if I, look at how God did it for that person, then I was like, dang, I know for sure he gonna do it for me. I had already set in my mind my own ways, my own plans on how God was going to do it for me, not knowing that I was giving God an expectation that he did not have for me, or that he did not plant in this, in my story. God had to expose the essence and the contents of my heart just to show me that that's not what I have for you. Just to show me that you only wanted that because you wanted to be flashy. You only wanted that because you wanted to show off, and you wanted to become prideful with it. But that's not what I have for you. But indeed, in fact, I did instruct you and tell you to do those things just so that it could be exposed to you, and just so that I could humble you. Now I tell y'all, I swear to y'all, when God told me this yesterday, it ate me up. That's why, like I said, do not be like the Israelites who wandered in the wilderness for 40 years and did not get to make it into their promise, did not get to make it into the place where God had promised them. rest. All because of their complaints and all because of their unbelief. God is saying, enjoy the journey. Enjoy where I'm taking you. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Because while you're so much in a rush to get there, just imagine when you actually get there. You're going to long for that kind of journey. You're going to long for that kind of experience again. I need you to enjoy it, and I need you to be content in where I have you right now. You might be in a shelter. You might be sleeping in your car. You might be going from Airbnb to Airbnb, hotel to hotel. You might be doing so many ridiculous things that you may feel is ridiculous, but it's all a purpose leading into why God told you to do it. But when you finally actually make it to that destination God, intended for you to be in, you're going to be grateful for all the people you encounter. You're going to be grateful for all the lessons you learn, because those trials were to perfect you. Those trials were to give you strength. Those trials were to, help you build up your endurance and help you to develop your character. And also, while all this is happening, God, through the journey, he's trying to teach us that it's not about us. We have to stop predicting, or we have to stop thinking that God is going to do it one way for us and having these expectations, because when we have these expectations in the way God's going to do it and he doesn't end up showing up in the way that we thought he was going to show up, it leads us into disappointment. It leads us into feeling entitled, and then we become greedy, and then we don't be content. God even tells us, do not be lovers of money. Be content with whatever you have, for he will never leave you nor forsake you. God is your provision. God is your provider. Be grateful for the journey. Be grateful where you are. You're just like me, because I'm saying this for y'all, but I'm saying this for me as well. You gotta stop the complaining, man. Just be grateful where you are right now, man. You have a roof over your head. You have clothes in your back. You have food in your stomach. You have money in your bank account, although they don't matter. You have breath in your lungs. You have life in which God gives you each and every single day. Just embrace where you are right now. Through all this, allow God to prune you, allow God to shape you, allow God to mold you, because when you enter into that place, you won't go into it with the same mindset. You won't go into it with the same type of heart posture. You won't go into it the way that you were before you walked into it. So before I go, to encourage many of you guys, again, you're hearing from God, right? Everything God tell you and was instructing you to do, you are on the right path. You are doing exactly what God told you to do. But just because it didn't work out, just because you got rejected, just because you got denied, just because it didn't work out in your favor, does not mean you did not hear from God, and does not mean that God was contradictory on what he said or on what he instructed you to do. There's always a lesson, and there's always something that is meant to be learned through the denials, through the rejections, and through the things that God is walking us through on this walk with him. So be patient, continue to keep enduring. The Lord sees you, the Lord is proud of you, and the Lord just wants to develop, he wants to work in you in this hour. I want to touch up more on this, so I'm probably gonna make some more videos about this. But I hope this really resonates with somebody. God bless you, and I love you, and so does God. Peace.